800-951-0592. $20 gold pieces, $2,125. I've gotten 4 price increases since about 7:30 this morning. As gold's obviously rallying on this news, I encourage all of you keep stacking it up here. I've got news. So Silicon Valley Bank, it's not a big bank as far as insured deposits. Right now, the numbers that I'm seeing, it'd be about a $23 billion hit to the FDIC because that's how much insured deposits they have. Uninsured deposits, $151 billion in unsecured deposits. And this is a huge problem. Obviously, a lot of this is coming out of the bank. Earlier this week, they were actually the 18th largest bank in the country with over $173 billion in deposits. But here's the problem, Jason. They've got about $300 billion in what we would call off-balance sheet security. So this is a little bigger problem than I had thought. I knew that they didn't have a ton of insured deposits. It's shocking to see. But again, now got to remember, why would people have that much? But this is a bank that was involved in tech startups. So these are big institutional type investors that way spending, $10 billion is nothing to them. They need to have lots of liquidity. So this is a bank that specialized in that. But Jason, this is again becoming a big problem here. And like I said, Janet Yellen, Jay Powell, they need to get together and they need to stomp this thing out this weekend.
Yeah, I mentioned right before the break, the disinflation thing. I think these things are sort of known ahead of time to some level, right, Joe? And if you're trying to keep people calm that things are going to be all right, you maybe just throw out that disinflation thing. You're hoping that the numbers come out right, whatever. And I find it interesting that's the Silvergate Bank earlier in the week. They were crypto involved, and then you got a bank called the Silicon Valley Bank. How much of this is going to, somehow be pointed towards crypto, right? Hey, you know what? You said that they're heavily invested with tech companies. Well, what do they got their money in, right? Why do I get the feeling that if we start to see an implosion here in the months and in the weeks to come, why do I have the feeling they're going to pin this thing all on crypto? Because we know what the solution for all the financial woes is going to be. It's going to be the digital currency, right?
Right. Could be. And of course, Bitcoin below 20,000. I think they've lost $70 billion just this week alone. But I got some more numbers breaking here. So it looks like SVB, Silicon Valley Bank, sold $21 billion of securities. So in other words, they needed, let's just call it $20 billion to cover deposits that had left the bank. Okay, so remember, they had, what was that number again? $173 billion. I don't know how much was done before yesterday, but yesterday they sold $21 billion. It looks like they took a $1.8 billion loss. So that looks like about 8.5%, an 8.5% loss. Just start doing math here. The big banks, JP Morgan, Bank of America, right? Goldman, Wells Fargo, Citi, they've got like 50 trillion, not 300 billion. Can you imagine that they'd have to take an 8.5% loss? Right? Are you paying attention? And listen, this bank, at least, the only fortunate thing about this bank is it doesn't have A normal bank with these numbers probably would have like 100 billion in secured deposits. That would essentially wipe out the FDIC. And again, First Republic is one of these banks they mentioned, amongst others. These other banks go, Jason, it's very possible here that the FDIC would be out of money quickly. This is not like the Bank of Schmuckatelli going under. This is not the bank of Sam Friedman, right? Remember him and his little bank? These are much bigger banks than that.
Yeah, and this is not the fault of crypto. I just bring that up because there's always got to be a finger pointed somewhere, right, Joe? Well, if this thing gets severe, which at some point, whether it's this week, next week, a month, next year, whatever, when it gets really severe, they're going to point fingers. And a lot of this smells like, it's just all those crypto guys, they caused all this. Why do I get the feeling that's going to be part of how they point this thing out, Joe? It's like, let's get this thing fixed once and for all. Digital dollar, digital Fed coin, right? It's what they're going to start pounding the wardrobes on every time these things happen, I think.
Yeah, so it's going to be very interesting how this plays out. There's a news sheet out here. You know what? I'll try to get to it on the break. A lot of this is moving very, very quickly here. And again, if you're just joining us, Silicon Valley Bank has been halted. They've had a bank run. Let's plain and simple. They had to go and sell these off-balance sheet securities to the tune of a $1.8 billion loss. They were unable. They tried a stock offering. Nobody wanted it. Right now, they're trying to find a buyer. It looks like this would be probably, I think, the best outcome if there's no buyer here already. SVB has told all of its employees to stay home. I don't know does that mean that all the other depositors can't get their money out? I don't know. I don't know what that means as far as that goes.
If you're not at the bank, how can you go get your money out if they didn't open their bank? How can you open the bank if no one's there?
I don't know. Does the website work? I don't know any of that, right? I don't want to speculate on it too much. But the bigger issue was the Treasury has met with the House Ways and Means to let them know that there are other banks. They use the word a few.
A few.
They use the word a few. We've mentioned about half a dozen that appear to possibly have some issues. We'll keep you posted here, but we're kind of seizing the problem here. This could be, a $300 billion problem. That's a pretty big problem. Patriot Radio News Hour, $20 gold pieces, $21.25 at 800-951-0592. 800-951-0592. Gold's up 30, 1864. Silver's up 50 cents here, $20.50. Silvergate has folded, as we've talked about. They weren't a huge bank. They had exposure. They really didn't. It wasn't the crypto that did them in, but here, give just some details here. This was a smaller bank, and they ran into trouble again. A bank run. They had deposits that were essentially taken out of the bank, left the bank. It was $8.1 billion that left that bank earlier this week. Once again, they sold securities. In this case, for Silvergate, it was muni bonds. They lost $718 million, and that put them out. Today, it gets a little worse. Signature Bank, they are the big one in that same space as Silvergate. Much, much bigger. Hundreds of billions of dollars compared to tens of billions of dollars. And I want to say, if my numbers are right, this is another bank about well over $100 billion. Okay. Their stock is down 50% right now. This is a major move here, down 32% of that happening just in the last 20 or 30 minutes. Silicon Valley Bank, here you go. It's official now. Silicon Valley Bank has been shut down. So this is very fast moving here. This does not normally happen. They usually would wait till the end of the day. Regulators have stepped in. So this means nobody wanted to touch this. FDIC to protect the insured deposits. I've already told you the numbers that I saw anyway. That looks to be about $23 billion. That's going to bring that FDIC funds way down, right? That's about maybe a sixth of the funds that the FDIC has. The problem is it looks like other banks are teetering here. There's nothing official yet. And again, this is something, Jason, I'm shocked by this news. They couldn't even make it to the end of the day.
Shut down, meaning it's not going to be acquired, is what you're saying?
Correct. This is going to be liquidated. They had, like I said, they had insured deposits of about $23 billion. It looks like if you add more, it looks like you're going to get wiped out here. But again, regulators have shut down Silicon Valley Bank, the FDIC, to protect the insured deposits. And again, the problem here is if 2 or 3 more banks go, the FDIC doesn't have any more money. Then what happens? Right? Then what happens?
That's where these few banks that Janet Yellen's looking at, that's where the decisions are being made. So they must have figured out, well, that one's going. So what
yeah,
who else is on the list?
Obviously, somehow they feel that announcing this now is better for these other banks, because obviously this bank, it was too late here. It's got to be all about protecting the other banks. And again, this I'm shocked. I don't know what I was not. I was fully expecting after the markets closed that they would do it, but it is official. The Silicon Valley Bank has been shuttered. Wow, this was a $285 stock on Monday. This is another reason. Why do you hold gold? Because it doesn't go to zero. It's closed. It's the first failure this year. The FDIC is going to create a deposit insurance at National Bank of Santa Clara. So I guess that's where people can go to have access to their money. They've named a federal deposit insurance. The FDIC is going to be the receiver of this, but it looks like they'll go to the National Bank of Santa Clara if you guys are needing to figure out what to do here. And again, we'll keep our eyes on this. We'll keep monitoring the situation. Just shocking when you have a jobs report of 311,000 and an unemployment rate at 3.6%, and we're talking about bank runs.
Well, if these banks continue to have this kind of stress, those employment numbers will turn around pretty quick. That won't last long. I mean, hopefully Santa Clara isn't on the few list, right?
Right, and obviously, they were picked for a reason. That would be my thought here.
You would hope. You would hope until something happens, right? But yeah, Joe. So this, and some dominoes are starting to fall, and who knows? It's still early in the day. I mean, this is Friday. If bad things are going to happen, they really try to push that to the end of the day, and hopefully they can, like a cat, they can just bury that stuff before anyone sees it.
Well. Again, that's my hope. Listen, I'm telling you out there, and I've been telling you, this is why you don't have large sums of money in the bank. This is a big hit here. This was on Monday the 18th largest bank, but it's a little different in the amount of over deposits above the 250,000 just because of the style that this bank was. But these other banks that we've been talking about, Jason, they're not that. These are, regional, mid-size, smaller banks. They're not that here. This would exhaust the FDIC's funds very, very quickly. So we'll keep watching here. $20 gold pieces, $2,125. And unfortunately, if gold closes where it's at now, on Monday, I expect it to be even higher, right? 800-951-0592. Jason and I wrapping up. Dude, this is not the show I thought we were going to do. $800-951-0592. The FDIC says the bank will reopen on Monday. So customers' online banking will resume on Monday. So I guess I don't know. I don't know if they can access anything right now. All loans, if you have loans to the bank, you should continue to make your payments. They said that as of December 31st, they had $209 billion in assets. We know $175.4 billion in total deposits. We think $23 billion of that was insured. Which thankfully it's not more than that. I mean, could you imagine if there was, $150 billion? That would have wiped out the FDIC right there. That would have been it. There's anybody with amounts over that, you call toll free the FDIC 866-799-0959. And my guess is, Jason, anyone that's over that amount, you'll be put in line. And they'll sell all the remaining assets and then whatever's left over. But as I've told you, depositors are unsecured. So people, bonds, whatever the bank owed to people with higher priority, they get paid first. And then whatever's left over, I guess, Jason, they'll divide up. If you had $1 million in there as an example, you'll get 250,000 of it insured. That other 750,000, you'll get something, but I don't know what, right? I mean, hopefully it's not that bad. Hopefully maybe you'll lose, 50,000 or 100,000. Hopefully you don't lose the whole 750, but that remains to be seen.
And as more banks start to suffer the same fate, those percentages are going to get worse against you. The fate will become worse. In fact, being a part of Silicon Valley Bank, if this thing gets worse in the weeks to months to come, they're going to be fortunate that they were first, right, Joe?
Well, yeah, absolutely. I'm watching Signature here. This will be another big blow in the crypto space as well. Very dramatic drop in stock price. And again, we've been watching these other small to middle tier banks that have been taking a beating today. Some of these banks are down 20+%. And I'm just checking in here. First Republic now down 25%. So that's getting worse. Also, let me get the other one here. Pac West, which was down 19%, is now down 23%. These two banks, Jason, are ones that I would definitely be keeping my eye on here as we watch all of this play out today.
Yeah, we'll keep watching it. I mean, we won't be on the air later today, but we'll be back on the air Monday. So just keep your eyes peeled, right, Joe? You got to just
and watching. Signature Bank was down 13% earlier this morning, now down 33%. So these are. It looks like there's trouble here. Let's see if you're just joining us. The FDIC has just shut the 18th largest bank in the country, Silicon Valley Bank, has been shuttered by the FDIC, and we'll continue to watch as this plays out. Jason and I, we're coming back with the half-empty cup. We're going to stay on this. We'll talk jobs and some other stuff as well. Stay with us.